The Chicago Fire went up against Columbus Crew over the weekend and lost 2-1 after a dramatic late goal from Farsi on the 100th minute. And I'm here to talk to you about it. You're watching Firewatch FC. But before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe. As you can see, this is a brand new YouTube channel and liking and subscribing would help me out a lot. Thank you so much. Now with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. You guys should know how it goes already. It's going to be green boxes for good performances and red boxes for bad ones. And the first red box is unfortunately going to have to go to Chihos. Keeping things as positive as we can, he did have a decent game overall. Most of his passes were very accurate and he was able to win 100% of his tackles. And as a defender, that's kind of what you want from him. However, when it mattered the most, he kind of failed us. That goal from Farsi started as a throw-in pass, and as it was coming down on the right flank, almost the entire defense was caught off guard, except for Chihos. He was far enough away to see the play develop. From there, he had a chance to stop the pass that led to the goal. And when we needed him the most, he didn't stop him. He got beaten, and badly. That pass went through his legs and straight to Farsi, and from there, right to goal. And from our star defender, that's where we need him to be the guy. All of the 2023 season, Chicago Fire have dropped points because we can't hold it down in the late stage of the game. And the one constant off of every single one of those games is Chihos. He doesn't have the armband anymore, but he still needs to be the leader in that back line. After the 86 minutes, the entire Chicago field were basically all defenders, and all of them have to be led by Chihos. During that throw-in, Chihos was in a perfect vantage point to see what was happening, and he didn't say anything. He didn't tell the team to stay alert. I'm sorry, but that's kind of your job, Chihos. Then on the 101 minute, we had a perfect chance to equalize, and it was with Chihos. He got a perfect pass straight to his feet, and all he needed to do was have a good first touch, and that ball would have gone in. But he fumbles it. The times that we needed him the most, he just wasn't there for us. And although one defender got a red box, I would like to give a quick shout out to another, and that's going to be the Sulkers. As far as debuts go, I think he had a great one. His game was full of accurate passes, lots of blocks and clearances, and he won all of his aerial duels. I think he's going to be a great asset to the defense, which is good because once Turan is fully fit, we have 3 real good starting center backs. And with that, we can really start thinking about the back 3 formation. And now, let's move on to our first green box of the day, and that has to go to Herbers. Once again, he gets the goal. I don't know what's been happening with Herbers these last couple of months, because at the end of the 2023 season, he was shooting goals left and right, and it looks like he transferred that over to the start of this season. And it's awesome, because when we need goals, at this point, just send Herbers in. Not only that, he also won lots of his duels. Remember, we have him as a defensive midfielder. He's winning most of his duels, and he's getting 100% successful dribbles. And add a goal in there, that's a perfect game for a CDM. So, easy green box for Herbers. I feel the need to give a quick call out to the one that's supposed to be scoring these goals, and that's Hugo Kuipers. He got 2 solid opportunities to get a goal this game, and both of them, it was individual error that didn't let him get that goal. I didn't feel the need to give him a red box simply because it is the first match that he really has proper service, but as of right now, he's on notice. It's one thing if you're not scoring goals because you're not getting the service, but in a game like today where you are getting service throughout the match, you can't be wasteful. You have to get those shots. And while we're speaking of service, let's move on to our next red box, and that has to go to Shaqiri. During this match, I thought he was pretty uninvolved, especially when you consider that he's supposed to be playing that 10 role. I took a quick look at his stats, and he only had 41 touches. In comparison, Diego Rossi had 72 touches, and Morris had 101. Shaqiri is supposed to be the one that's supposed to getting things together. You give him the ball, and he's supposed to kind of figure out where's the best way of attack. So either he's not making himself available, or the team doesn't trust him enough. And if we look at the rest of his stats, I can see why the team wouldn't trust him. For one, he's incredibly lazy at defending. He had absolutely no tackle attempts this entire game. Not one. And he also lost 5 of his 6 duels. Like, what's going on here? These are honestly rookie numbers. Then we take a look at his attacking stats, and they're just as bad. He had 0 out of 2 accurate crosses. Then for long balls, he only had 2 out of 5 successful. In my point of view, unless you're playing like Messi, you have to defend. Your attack has to be immaculate for you to not have to defend. These numbers are not good enough for you to not defend. Quit being lazy and get the ball back. This is ridiculous. You're getting paid way too much and too important of a role to not be having accurate crosses and long balls. Even back in the Cincinnati game, the story was pretty similar. At least when it came to the attacking, he's not doing a good enough job. So for that, Shaqiri has to get a red box. And while we're having someone go down in their performance, we're actually having someone kind of redeem themselves at the moment. So I want to give a quick shout out to Gasper. On our matchup against Philadelphia Union, I criticized Gasper a lot because it seemed like he was lost, he wasn't in the right areas, he would have incomplete passes the entire time. And after that video, someone told me to calm down, and it was just because he wasn't fully fit that day. And it looks like they were right, because in this game, I thought he did a pretty good job. He was dribbling through players a decent amount. He won all of his duels, and although his long balls and crosses weren't fully there, he had a much better showing this time around. So I just wanted to give him a quick shout out, and thank you for proving me wrong. And now we're gonna take a look at our last green box. And I might catch a few strays for this one, but I think this one has to go to Klopas. Look, I get it. Whenever your team loses, you don't want to say good job to the coach. But I have to be honest with you guys. I think he did a really good job this game. First off, he got the right lineup. Every position was filled as good as it could have been. And the decision to hold off Salquez until now paid off perfectly because he looked great out there. During the first half, things didn't really seem lively from both sides of the field. But clearly, Klopas had something to say during that halftime, and whatever he said, it worked. Because that second half was completely different from the first. The team looked more lively. The Fire were able to fend off a flurry of attacks from the Crew, then returned in kind a few moments later. They look active, they were really trying to get those shots on goal. The team was finally able to provide service to Kuipers in that second half, like we've been wanting them to. And when players weren't working out during that second half, he subbed them out fairly quickly. Like for instance, Brian Gutierrez was pretty passive throughout the game, so Klopas subbed him out at the 60th minute when he figured out that it wasn't working. He brought in a more attack-minded winger with Muller. Then when we needed to lock it down, he made the right subs at the right times. He started off all of his defensive subs right around the 82nd minute, which is a very reasonable time to start being more defensive. That's only 8 minutes of regular time, and if it wasn't for the ridiculous 12 minutes of stoppage time, we would have been perfectly fine. The subs that he did were all defensive minded. He subbed in Barlow and Jimenez first. Then he got Dean and Navarro out there. That was 100% the right call. So it wasn't the coach that failed the players. It was the players that failed the coach. Frank actually had a post-match interview, and everything that he said, I had to agree with. The biggest issue against FC Cincinnati was us not providing enough service to Kuipers. This game we did do that. The second issue was that we didn't let off enough shots. This time we let off more than double the shots than we did against FC Cincinnati. All the major issues were addressed. So it has to be a green box for Klopas. And speaking of players that kind of let us down this game, I have to give a call out to Gutierrez. During the entire match, I thought that he was pretty passive. Besides that Hail Mary shot to goal in the first 3 minutes of the match, I thought he was incredibly passive throughout the game. When I'm watching the game, I actually write notes to myself to remind me of what's going on in the game. And relative to everyone else on the field, Guti's section was pretty much blank. I don't know what was going on, but he wasn't doing a whole lot throughout this match. And that's unfortunate, because I really like Guti. I think he has a lot of potential, but that potential needs to translate to goals and assists out on the pitch. And it has to happen very soon. Guti is not a teenager anymore. His time to have a breakout season is now. A part of me kind of feels a little conflicted about this game, because on one side, it sucks to see the Chicago Fire lose, but on the other, I kind of enjoy the fact that we're showing visible improvements this time. I know it sucks to hear, but Chicago isn't a top contender in this league. During these last couple of games, we've been going against top 4 level teams, and I feel like we kind of have to be realistic of what the Chicago Fire can actually do. Right now, even with the players that we have, it's a mid-table team. I don't think we should be expecting Chicago Fire to be the likes of Columbus Crew, FC Cincinnati, Philadelphia Union, or Inter Miami. At least not anytime soon. But everyone else in the East Conference, we should definitely be expecting the Fire to beat them. Like our game against Montreal, there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to beat them. And before I end this video, I want to go ahead and wish Federico Navarro a very happy birthday. And while we're celebrating, I want to go ahead and say congratulations to the US Women's National Team. I'm recording this video a few hours after they just beat Brazil and won the Gold Cup. Congratulations, you guys make us proud. Hence the shirt. Anyway, now I'd like to throw it back to you guys. Do you think I'm being too generous to Klopas? Or do you guys think I'm being too harsh on the players this game? Or maybe you just think I got something wrong. Whatever it is, go ahead and sound off in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And 97 till forever.